Good morning and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm Justine Reichman, your host, and today I have the privilege and the honor to welcome to you Jim. Jim is a former UNIS alumni as well, and he is the founder or co-founder of Mighty Peace Coffee. And I'm super thrilled to have him here. We are connected through the UNIS alumni, and we connected at an alumni event that we had, which was a virtual event that they hosted. And I'm just so excited for you to share your story here. And I never like to intro my guests and read their bios off of the back of a website or something, because I don't think it does anyone justice. So Jim, would you do me the pleasure and just share a little bit about yourself, if you would, for our listeners?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Justine, for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity and the platform to share my story with your audience. So thanks again. And
My pleasure.
And a small correction, I'm not a co-founder at Mighty Peace Coffee.
Oh, my fault.
I invested a month after I became a partner, but I don't want to quite take credit as a co-founder. But managing partner at Mighty Peace Coffee, we're founded in September 2018. We've been around for 2 years now, and honestly, it's been a wonderful journey of entrepreneurship. And I always tell people I feel like I'm living my dream, where I get to work every day in a way that makes a difference in my country of origin, Congo. And really being from Congo is a key reason why I got involved in Mighty Peace Coffee and became a managing partner.
And I loved that story that you shared with me. After we originally connected through the UNIS alumni event, and then we just started chatting about Mighty Peace Coffee and about what you're doing, you shared with me the inspiration for you joining Mighty Peace Coffee. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your journey there and when you went to the Congo and why in particular coffee was important to you.
Absolutely. So even before starting with the coffee, I'll talk about how I got to America first and what my journey to America pushed me towards and how it led me to Mighty Peace Coffee. So I came to America when I was about 17. So, a few years ago.
Just yesterday, right? Just yesterday.
Literally, actually 17 years ago. So I came to America. I finished high school in New York, UNIS, great institution in New York City. And there was a big gap between when I first came to America to finish high school and then college. Then I went back to Congo. So it was about a 13-year gap. So I spent 13 years away from home for multiple reasons. Again, first I mentioned I came here, I was about to be senior in high school. Then I went to college. And there were multiple reasons for why I didn't go to Congo. But despite that big gap between me coming to America and me going to Congo, it was important for me to stay in touch with my country. So whether it was talking to my family there, my grandmothers, my uncles, aunts, cousins, and also reading anything I get my hands on when it came to Congo, whether it's books, articles, anything I get my hands on. And the unfortunate thing, being so far from Congo and reading the news about Congo, is that the headlines are largely negative. They focus on the worst events happening in the country, whether it's articles about genocide, corruption, war, lack of governance, lack of transparent governance, and things like that. And I wish I could tell you those things are false, it's fake news, but they're true. So those things have been the reality for Congo. Things are much better now. When I first came here to America, those were the realities, those were accurate headlines. But I felt like they didn't tell the full story, and I felt like they told a very incomplete story. Sure, those things are true, but there's more to Congo than these headlines. So what can I do as a Congolese immigrant in America now to show a different side of that? So again, I want to mention I finished high school in New York, went to college, studied media. So I thought maybe if I want to change a narrative, maybe I'll just write news stories. Actually, my first semester in college at Temple University in Philly was actually journalism. I was like, I'm just going to be a journalist and write about, issues related to me like Congo. But then I realized that, I don't like writing that much. I'm not sure you need to go to journalism school to be a journalist. No offense to anybody that did that, but that was not the path for me. So I switched majors, declared a minor in business because I really had a sense that, business can make the biggest impact long-term when it comes to Congo and Africa in general. I think when it comes to, dealing with Congo's challenges, people usually go to charity. How can I, what charity can I donate to help children, help this, help that? All great causes, but I feel like they're not sustainable over the long term. So I always told myself, business is the way to go. So again, I went to college, went to business school later. And, after graduating, I worked in e-commerce. I worked at eBay. I worked in healthcare at Siemens, most recently in media here in New York City. But during those, getting those, those corporate jobs, I was also doing some pro bono work and pro bono consulting for the African Chamber of Commerce, because I knew business was the way to make the biggest impact. But I had to learn about business in Africa, so I was doing that, that consulting, and then I went to Congo. I went there in 2017. It was my first time in about 13 years, and I was there for 2 weeks. So I got to spend quality time with my family, but my main focus really was to actually do a lot of research and understand the realities of business on the ground. So I talked to entrepreneurs, lawyers, corporate executives, anybody that knew about business in Congo. That was really my goal, to gather information. So after spending those 2 weeks there, I came back to New York City and I wrote a report for the African Chamber of Commerce that highlighted two industries. It was energy and agriculture. If we're able to invest in those sectors, we'll see a major change in Congo's development trajectory. So my goal after this report was, okay, I know what industries to tackle now. It's easy, right? Just find some investors and take them with me to Congo. Investors, tell them about, coffee opportunities, energy, all that, they'll come with me, we'll invest, and, I'll change the world. That was really
a better place.
Exactly, right? It's that simple. But around the same time, actually, the State Department issued a travel warning that said, if you're American, don't go to Congo. Congo is not safe. You're at risk of, being a victim of violence, so don't go to Congo. So that was a challenge. So as a result of that announcement, no investor wanted to come with me to Congo. I was like, trust me, I was just there. It's safe. We're like, nope, the State Department says this. We're not going to Congo. So I had to go back and look for other ways to make an impact. And around the same time, I actually met one of the founders of Mighty Peace Coffee, JD Steer, a partner now, who had produced a film called When Elephants Fight. So we actually met because we were both on a panel at Columbia University discussing that film we produced. And that film, the title, When Elephants Fight, is actually from a proverb that says, when elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. It's basically, it's a Congolese proverb about really the impact. And it's an analogy that's looking into supply chain issues. So that film focused on mining in Congo. To put it in perspective, Congo has the world's highest deposits of coltan and cobalt. They're minerals that are in every cell phone, every electric car, every iPad. So odds are, on my MacBook right now, it's probably a piece of Congo in there. So the documentary actually called out Apple, IBM, Intel to say, hey, you may not know it, but your suppliers of these minerals are actually causing conflict in Congo. What are you going to do about it? And to our surprise, the feedback in America was great. Apple and Intel actually vowed to be more transparent with their sourcing, so they didn't do that. The film was on Netflix. It's on Amazon now. So again, great feedback in America. People were happy. But in Congo, the feedback was, hey, near those mines, we have great coffee, but people are afraid of coming to Congo. So when it comes to Congo, they only hear about conflict minerals, wars, and things like that. So what would really help us is you helping us find buyers for our great coffee in America. Can you do that? So JD, came back to New York, told me that story. I was like, look, I don't know much about coffee, but I know business, I know Congo, and I know agriculture is one of the sectors that can make the biggest difference in Congo. So I'm in. So we had that competition in August, and in September I joined the team, and here we are now 2 years later. I think Mighty Peace Coffee is one of the faster growing coffee companies in the US. We had some big growth this year, despite the challenges. And we're very happy to really be putting Congolese coffee on the map in the country. And that's really why I joined it, because it was an opportunity to do business in a way that impacts my country in a positive way.
Wow, that's a really impactful story.
I appreciate that.
It's ever since you told me, I've wanted to share it with people, and I was excited for you to share it with our listeners, because it really talks about the future of food, and it talks about the impact you're having, not just on a local level, but on a global level, and how you're connecting your passion with your heritage and bringing it here for everyone to share in, and making that impact extend beyond just the local community, but bringing your local community from the Congo here, and just really connecting all the dots for it. So it's just so impactful for me. So I hope that our listeners get a sense of it, and maybe if they watch the YouTube video, they'll get a sense of it, because when I watch your face and I see the emotion in it and I see the authenticity in it, it really comes through. So for me, I know that it comes through when they're listening to you, and when they are listening to you, they'll understand it. But I hope that our listeners will take a minute and download the episode so that they can also watch and listen and hear it and watch your face and see the emotion in it. So I really hope so. Anyway, so let's move on. What was the biggest aha moment for you when you realized what you were doing was having an impact on the future of food?
Honestly, it's twofold, both on the supply side and the demand side. So supply side, hearing directly from farmers about how they're able to use their coffee earnings, it's really, it's being able to hearing them say directly, because I was able to sell this coffee to you, and now I'm able to pay my kids' tuition for this upcoming semester. We're able to pay back debts, really able to put a deposit down on the house. Really basic things that we really all want, right? We want to be able to do these things. We all do. And hearing farmers say that, because of coffee, they're able to do that was like, wow, just through business and through finding demand for their great product, we can make a real impact where it's not charity, where people work, they get compensated fairly. So hearing that, from the supply side, from, farmers saying that was a big aha. Like, it's a feel good story, but it's also a real story. Like, there's real people with real money, getting their hands at enabling them to make real things, a real impact in their lives. So I think that was definitely a very big aha moment for me. And really on the demand side, just talking to clients here and people that are in the coffee space, and them saying that when they really appreciate our transparency, because a lot of people, I think now it's cool to talk about transparency from a marketing standpoint, but a lot of times it's really marketing speak. There's not much substance behind this. But when they talk to us, we can show them the numbers. We can call the people in Congo, like with WhatsApp. Anybody you want to talk to in Congo, we can really make that happen really quickly. So
Right.
yesterday, I was talking to a new client out in Cleveland, and we were basically doing a Zoom with our chief quality officer in Congo, and they were saying that they rarely do that. It's usually like a third party somewhere else that maybe has read about Congo or another coffee country. The fact that they were talking to somebody in Congo who's telling them what happened yesterday in the field, like, it's very rare, right? So I think buyers also are happy to have transparency be a real thing and not just a marketing buzzword. So I think that aha moment that basically people here want it, and it's having a real impact in Congo. I think those are two aha moments that I'm very happy to have experienced, as recently as last week, actually.
Well, I mean, I can imagine if I was behind the counter selling the coffee and I could share a story because I heard it
Yeah.
with somebody. I mean, on a personal level, it's personal for me, right? And I can share that with the customer, and that connects the customer more personally. And then they want to buy something because, wow, it makes it personal for them. So I think it changes the dynamic for people. It's not just something that they're reading. They they get to really connect with the story. So I'm curious. I know what your aha moment was, but how does your aha moment connect with the impacts that you're trying to have on a personal level?
So in personal level, you mean how I wanted to be impacting like the people we work with in Congo or myself?
Yeah. So, so for example, you've had these aha moments, and when you've realized you're really having an impact. And then you have these goals that you've set up, and, for yourself and for the business. And, you're really making it happen, but how are you making sure that you're staying so connected? Because you are.
Honestly, I think it's literally regular communication. Every day, we talk to our partners in Congo. They tell us what's happening in real time. If I share a coffee sample with a buyer here, and he says, "Yeah, I love this and like this as much," I can share that in real time. Farmer teams in Congo, and the next harvest probably be able to implement their feedback if it's possible. So I think honestly, technology makes a big difference. The fact that I can talk to somebody in Congo like right now and get a feedback to a question that was asked 10 minutes ago by a client in LA. I think that makes a big difference. So being able to really be that bridge to connect the people that are working hard in the field to produce the best possible coffee to the business owners here that are trying to provide coffee to their communities. I think being that bridge is I feel like every day is an aha moment, and it makes me want to work that much harder because I think that the more we can do, the more impact we can have in Congo and here. So it actually makes me want to work harder.
I can imagine, because you're getting that direct feedback, right?
Absolutely.
You're hearing directly from the people the impact it's having, and you want to do more. You want to fix more problems. You want to have a greater impact, and you want to continue to see the success.
Absolutely.
What's more motivating than that?
I can't think of something.
I mean, I can't think of anything more motivating. That would get me up in the morning,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Honestly, I feel very grateful to do what I do every day. It's I know it sounds a little cheesy, but I do wake up with a pep in my step, and I think my wife can attest to that.
I feel the same way. I do. And I feel grateful to have that opportunity and grateful to have found something that really motivates me every morning and allows me to have an impact on the world and be able to share stories and inspiration for other founders and creating the change, creating a movement that really will impact the future of food. So it's taken a while to get here, but I feel grateful now that I'm here. So now, we look back at 2020 and it's been a challenging year for so many, for everyone, I think. I don't think there's a person that hasn't been affected by this last year. So I can't, not ask, how has COVID impacted your ability to have this impact?
Honestly, I think the most challenging part was probably earlier on. I want to say March and April, we were like, whoa, because the Mighty Peace Coffee were founded in September 2018. And if literally, in March, 2020, there's, a global shutdown, like, how are we going to make it through this? So it was just really, we had to, as a team, we had to look within and really, get back to why we got into this in the first place and find a way to be supportive to our partners in America and in Congo. So, whether it's being flexible and things of that sort, but finding a way to still be there for them and continue to grow our business and most importantly, add value to our partners in Congo and in America. So definitely very challenging, but I want to say the earlier part was the scariest, and I think probably was scariest for most people. And in terms of the biggest changes, I think a big one is probably more so logistics in Congo, because of distancing guidelines, things that may usually take 2 weeks, take a month now, because you can't have as many people close
Right.
to
The supply chain has been affected. So pre-COVID, your supply chain was a little bit more streamlined, you would say?
Be a little more streamlined and took less time. So maybe instead of something that takes 2 months from the coffee to leave Congo and get here, maybe 2.5 months now or 3 months.
And I don't want to say streamlined because it's not really streamlined. It's just that there's more obstacles now because of COVID, and they put more processes in place to protect everyone.
Exactly.
And I would imagine that because of everything going on, there's just more challenges around the supply chain too, access.
Absolutely. And because especially when it comes to Congo is almost landlocked, and the coffee in the region where the coffee grows, we actually have to go through our other neighboring countries to export it. So we have to go through other countries. And if those countries are having, stricter or less strict, COVID-19 rules, it also impacts us. I know there was some the ports in Kenya. So actually, because of COVID, we're actually exporting more from the port in Tanzania and other East African countries. So we have to be flexible and find ways around the solutions. And because no matter the situation, people still drink coffee. So how about we were just trying to find a way for them to drink, coffee from Congo that's having a great impact locally.
In the meantime, can you talk to me a little bit more and tell me a little bit about what you're planning for post-COVID? Is your plan sort of going to stick with, given everything going on, are you just being very cautious about how you plan for the future so that you can always be protective, if you will, given we don't know what's going to happen with COVID? So that things won't ever go back to what was normal, but there really is a new process that you're creating, I guess is what my question is.
Definitely in terms of planning, we try to plan, further ahead. And it's tough, being a new company whereby initially we're just taking all the upfront risk and, hope we're able to sell some coffee.
Right.
So we're hoping to grow out of this, but, because of COVID, it's definitely delaying that. But nevertheless, we have to still be cautious, yet still take risks. Because again, if you're too cautious, then, we're not going to make it as a new small business. We still have to take some risk, but most importantly, really invest in relationships. And I think, because coffee is a commodity, some people may view as very transactional, but we take pride in, really building relationships. And I think it's going to be important for us to continue to build on those and strengthen them, and I think to really understand, what our partners need here so we can better support them so we can all grow and, make it through this challenging time. So I think really investing even more in relationships to really build that trust with our partners.
Yeah, I think my question, and maybe I sort of fumbled it a little, was really about sort of pre-COVID, we had one process. And now with COVID that came up, we had to adjust, right? We had to adjust because of the supply chain. We had to adjust because of all the new obstacles and all the different ramifications or all the different issues that had come up. Pre-COVID, there was one process in place. Post-COVID, or now, as you plan post-COVID, are you creating a whole new process to take into consideration all the new obstacles and challenges?
So I think because we're so new, there's a lot of processes that are always very flexible and very new to us, and so we're always it's less difficult for us to just change the process to another because everything is still so new. So prior to COVID, we had been around for a year. We were literally learning. Everything was new to
Right.
us. How do you bring coffee here? How do you sell coffee here? Tell people about Congolese coffee. So because it's so new, I think that the biggest change is really going to be about long-term planning. And it's hard to do that because people don't know how much coffee they'll need, in 6 months.
Right.
Whereas you'd have to be able to plan a year ahead. So just more so, the planning further ahead, I think, is the biggest change. I think a big challenge with COVID is that a lot of other buyers are like, hey, we have all this coffee here that was supposed to sell out last month. So because our coffee shops are closed, you have a lot of extra inventory. So I think, planning ahead of time so you're not the one caught with so you don't have excess inventory is the biggest process change, really, planning ahead of time and forecasting. Yeah.
Right. Jim, we're going to take a quick break and have a little message from our sponsor. So bear with me 1 second. Listeners, we'll be right back after this message from our sponsors. I want to thank today's sponsor, NextGenChef. NextGenChef feeds members with the knowledge and tools that they need to create concepts with purpose and succeed. If you're listening today, they are offering a 1-year subscription for any new founder that wants to participate at a special discounted rate. For more information, email team@nextgenchef.com. If you're interested in becoming a member or just a part of the community, email NextGenChef at team@nextgenchef.com. You can also follow them on Instagram @NextGenChef, as well as on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Thank you again, NextGenChef, for making this podcast possible. Together, we can change the future of food. Welcome everyone back. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, listeners. I'm glad to see you guys are all back here. We are going to get back into this conversation with Jim. We have some more questions. We're going to have a recipe for you. There's a special at the end, so make sure you stay tuned for the whole episode to make sure that you can claim a special coupon code for your Mighty Peace coffee. You won't want to miss it. So Jim, your products have a high bar for ingredients. What was the ingredient sourcing process like for you?
Honestly, I think the key to the process is our team. One of our team members and partners at Mighty Peace Coffee is actually based in Congo. She's an agronomist, and she's done a lot of coffee training and coffee Q grading. So basically, the fact that she's in Congo talking to farmers, she gets all the credit for that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can we just go back? Agronomist?
Yes.
Agronomist. So for our listeners that are not familiar with what an agronomist is, can you talk to us a little bit about what an agronomist is?
She basically studied land, soil, and how to grow crops the most efficient way in college. She has a master's in that, so she's considered an agronomy engineer. And her knowledge of the soil, particularly the Congolese soil, and really how to improve, from one season to the next, I think is the key advantage for us, and what enables us to always improve the quality of coffee we bring into America.
Okay, so she's very qualified, clearly.
Absolutely, she knows.
Okay, so I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just excited to share. I wanted to share with our listeners so that they were on the same page, because I know often we talk about agronomists and other really industry leaders and researchers and people and a lot of our listeners may not be familiar with who these people are. So I just want them to be on the same page.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
So anyway, so we were talking about the sourcing process. So
exactly. So having Linda, her name is Linda Ngokwey, our agronomist. I think you might have heard a bell. Do you want to take a quick break, Justine? I think I heard a bell ring. I want this to be
go for it. Go. I'll pause it for a second. Okay, go on. Okay, so why don't we go back to, you were talking about the sourcing process.
Absolutely. And I think, what makes the sourcing process really seamless and efficient for us is the fact that one of our team members and partners at Mighty Peace Coffee, her name is Linda Mugaruka. She's an agronomist. She's an agronomy engineer based in Congo. She has a master's in agronomy, and So she's really an expert in Congolese soil and harvest cycles and crop cycles. And her being on the ground, talking to the farmers regularly, the cooperatives, and being able to test the coffee on a regular basis is what enabled us to bring the best possible coffee each time.
Artisanal coffee is a highly competitive space. What are the market challenges and opportunities for anyone who wants to work in this space?
I think especially, given the current situation with COVID-19 pandemic and how it's impacted coffee consumption, definitely two major opportunities. And, because of different, state regulations in terms of, how many people can dine indoor and things like that, unfortunately, many coffee shops have had to close or really drastically reduce their hours. And, but the thing is, despite these changes, people are still drinking a lot of coffee. So coffee consumption as a whole has not changed. It's just, how they do so. So I think the major opportunities if if you want to get into the coffee industry right now, I think the two main avenues are it's important to have a strong e-commerce presence and or have strong partnership at the grocery level. Because basically those are the two avenues where the highest volume of coffee is being sold through grocery stores or online. So I definitely recommend focusing on those because from a coffee shop standpoint, it's been a tough for coffee shop owners lately.
I love that. So 3 tips: e-commerce, specialty shops, and remind me of the third one.
E-commerce, grocery stores.
Oh, okay.
E-commerce, grocery stores are the two major avenues, but to really to differentiate yourselves, you have to have a great story. So something about yourself. You can't just be a coffee brand that
no, it's true. I think you really do need a great story. And there's a lot of great stories out there. So you really need to make your story special and differentiate. So it's true. I stand in the grocery aisle reading each one, looking at the bag, looking at the name. Does the name resonate with me? I bought one yesterday because the name was Bauhaus and I liked Bauhaus and I like the furniture, the it's mid-century modern. Literally. So you never know what resonates with anybody, right?
Oh.
So can you share 3 to 5 tips as a better for you food entrepreneur for some of our founders that are listening?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Can you share 3 to 5 tips for some of the, as a better for you food entrepreneur for some of the founders that are listening to this podcast today?
So 3 tips in terms of how to grow.
As a better for you food entrepreneur, as a investor, as a not a co-founder, but as a partner in this business, can you share 3 to 5 tips for other founders or other partners and investors in startups that are building better for you brands, socially minded, purpose-driven brands?
Absolutely. I think one is to always remember why you're doing it. I think you're going to experience challenges along the way. It's inevitable. So I think when those come up, if you know exactly why you're doing it, I think being able to center yourself around that will make a big difference in helping you to continue forward. Mm-hmm. Really having a good team. I can't stress enough the fact that, the people you work with every day, if you don't get along, you have very different vision. I mean, it's going to be hard to make it work over a long time. So definitely make sure you have a strong team. And make sure also it's a product you believe in. You don't necessarily have to, use that product every day, but it has to be something you believe in so that when you talk to another investor or potential client or customer, that, you're being authentic. Because, I can't imagine how difficult it would be to build a company if it's a product you don't believe in.
Yeah, you can see it in your face when you're talking about it if you don't believe in it.
Exactly. So I think being authentic, having a great team, and knowing your why, things are the 3 most important things that I think no matter what, good for you product you're working on, if you have those 3 elements, you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's so important to be authentic because I don't know about you, but people can read my face immediately. So if I'm not being authentic, that I don't believe in it, that I'm not being authentic or transparent. And I think the minute you can be transparent and authentic and true to yourself, people get on board. People will be more supportive and you will be surrounded by a truckload of people that are right behind you, and it's so much easier to create a movement and a team and a group of people that will support you because they see in you what you see in it.
Exactly.
So it becomes infectious.
I wholeheartedly agree.
It becomes infectious. So you've been home for a good 9 months now, as we all have, I imagine. So I'm sure, as we all have, we've all come up with our favorite recipes. do you have a favorite pandemic recipe you can share this cold, wintry New York afternoon for you because you're in New York?
There is one that actually I have not used yet, but I've been reading about that. I'm actually very tempted and trying. Probably do it this holiday.
Do you share?
It's a hot white Russian.
Okay. I've had a cold white Russian.
So basically, you'll use, hot coffee and opportunity to use Mighty Peace coffee in an adult beverage. That's something I'm going to try this holiday, the hot white Russian. So it'll be brewed coffee with some Kahlua and vodka and some cream. So that's definitely something I'm going to try.
You have a recipe that maybe you can share with our team so we can upload it to the website so that people, when they want to order their Mighty Peace coffee, they can then reference the website to make their hot white Russian.
Absolutely. I'll gladly share that.
Okay, wonderful. So just a funny little anecdote. When I was 13, we did the bat mitzvah and bar mitzvah circuit, right? Because, well, I'm Jewish, so that's what you do. But my cousin, who was a couple of years older, introduced me to the white Russian. So of course we're 13, we can't really drink, but she introduced me to this white Russian and I used to like the white Russian. But I never knew that they were hot. Like we had them cold. They were very milky. You didn't really taste it. It tasted like ice cream. Anyway, so curious now, how many blends are there of Mighty Peace coffee?
So we started with two, we call them, offerings. We have two major, Umoja and Twende. They respectively mean solidarity and let's go in Swahili. But next year, we're going to introduce 4 more. So we're going to have 6 different single origin offerings. So they're not blends, they're coffees that come from a particular region in Congo, and we don't blend them with others. And they have because of their region and the volcanic soil and other soil components, we have a really unique flavor profiles.
So what's your favorite offering?
The Umoja is the one actually that, we drink the most.
Okay, so that's your favorite offering.
Yeah, there's a single origin from a region in Congo in the South Kivu province. You can call me Nova. And, when you do a light roast with that offering, it's very, you can really get the fruit flavor profiles, fruit flavor notes.
Wonderful. Yeah. So is there anything that you want to offer our guests before we sign off today?
Absolutely. The entire Mighty Peace Coffee team is very grateful for the opportunity, Justine. And we want to, share with your audience a 15% discount code. If you go to mightypeacecoffee.com and get yourself a peace package, that's how we call our coffee bags, a peace package. You can do so with the 15% off if you use code NextGenChef. NextGenChef, one word, 15% off a peace package. It comes with a 16-ounce bag, 1-pound bag, plus a 4-ounce sample you can share with your friends and family who like coffee as well.
Thank you so much, Jim, for joining me today on the Essential Ingredients podcast. I want to thank our listeners for joining us. If you like this podcast, please do not forget to subscribe to the Essential Ingredients channel. You can do that on iTunes, Spotify, any channel you wish. Please download the episodes. If you want to hear something in particular, please leave us a review. Let us know what you want to hear. And we are here every Tuesday with a new episode. So we look forward to seeing you again. And as well, these episodes are live on YouTube. So if for some reason you can't download the podcast or you want to watch us in person, please do so on the NextGenChef YouTube channel. Thank you all for joining us today for this episode of Essential Ingredients. Thank you, Jim, for joining us. If you guys have not subscribe to the Essential Ingredients, please do so. We're available on the iTunes, iHeartRadio, any of the channels, and you can download all the episodes. We will have a complete first season uploaded by the end of next week, and season 2 will be starting January 5th. So if you would like to watch any of the videos, they are available on the NextGenChef YouTube channel as well. We look forward to having you here with us every Tuesday as a new episode drops. Thank you all. I want to thank my guests and my listeners for joining me today at Essential Ingredients. If you like this episode and you want to make sure not to miss any others, please subscribe. You can find us on all the large channels, including iTunes. And I hope that you'll make sure to follow us and share it with your friends. For more information about Essential Ingredients, you can check out the website justinereichman.com. You can follow myself on Instagram and Facebook, at Justine Reichman. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about NextGenChef and the platform that powers this podcast, you can find us at nextgenchef.com, on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media outlets. I hope to hear from you and see you again soon.